morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily, the most essential news show on the Maltese Islands. I am your host, Jonathan Cilia, joined by Julian Bonici. Get ready to see a ton of new faces on Lovin Daily because we have an amazing and talented rotating cast of hosts. Before we get started, I do have to say that it is International Pancake Day. Very important day for all of us foodies. As you can see, we've got some lovely gluten-free, dairy-free pancakes right in front of us. So if you can get a knife and fork, send it over, maybe 2 pairs, we'll jump into this. But enough of that, let's get right to the news.
Okay, so where else to start but the coronavirus, scary, I know, but this morning, I don't know if you've actually seen, John, but there are 2 new thermal scanners at Malta International Airport, sort of part of the new thing to screen all arrivals coming into Malta. Another weird precautionary measure, I don't know if you saw, but yesterday, all priests in Malta have been ordered to stop putting Eucharists in people's mouths. Not a sexual euphemism, but sort of just a new measure. You know, this all started since Italy came.
That's right.
Have you heard anything about it in Malta? What's going on?
I mean, the last I heard, 7 people have died of the coronavirus in Italy or coronavirus-related illnesses. So I understand that people are a bit scared, but I'm wondering if the panic is reaching, higher levels than it needs to be. I mean, what do you guys think? Is Malta panicking enough or are we not panicking enough? How do you guys feel? Should we be stepping up precautions? Do let us know in the comments below.
There's actually a Facebook group now. I think it's got close to 20,000 members talking about it. Now listen, I know you're going to be worried, the people who have pre-existing conditions. It can actually be quite scary for some people, but more importantly, be careful, don't be crazy.
That's right, that's exactly it. Moving on to another story that we wrote about yesterday, and you can find all of these stories on lovinmalta.com, so check them out if you want a bit more information. A man was sentenced to 9 months in prison for carrying 7.3 grams of cannabis. I mean, this is pretty much Snoop Dogg's breakfast, and this guy's going to be sent to prison for 9 months. I mean, so he was found with the cannabis in 8 individual sachets, and he was drunk in public. He pled guilty to the charges, but I feel like 9 months is a bit of a harsh sentence for a handful of weed.
No, yes, it's quite insane when you start thinking, especially the pushes we're making in medicinal marijuana, manufacturing it over here. And correct me if I'm wrong out there, comment away, but if I'm not mistaken, cannabis was sort of placed on a different sort of level playing field to other drugs. And I mean, okay, even if he was potentially dealing 7 grams, it's a bit crazy.
I mean, honestly, if we want to tackle the drug problem in Malta, maybe we should start looking at cocaine. I mean, that seems like a much bigger issue. Maybe we should even start looking at alcohol. Anyway, moving on to a bit of a lighter story.
Yeah, this is maybe something stoners out there actually might enjoy. Basically, a video game editor has given people a virtual tour around Valletta, so buildings that aren't even there anymore, like the theater, the Opera House in Republic Street. You can actually go see it now.
That's
you can
right.
walk around Valletta, all from the comfort of your own home. So if you even don't really like people, sort of the perfect opportunity.
It's really, really cool. This guy used a Far Cry engine from the game Far Cry, and he literally recreated these destroyed, old, beautiful Maltese buildings. You can literally tour them from the comfort of your home, and I mean, yeah, I can totally understand why stoners might like it. So another story that happened yesterday, but this is a bit of a continuing story. So another prisoner died in prison yesterday, John Attard. If I'm not mistaken, I read from a heart attack. He is the 8th prisoner to die in the last 2 years. He was a bit old, 72 years old, but there seems to be a lack of information coming out of the prison about what is really happening with all these inmates and their deaths. As far as I understand, the media is not really being allowed in. We're not getting many statements.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's actually quite a surreal situation if you think about it. There are 8 people dead in 2 years. A lot of them, they die, we hear the initial news, but then we quickly forget about it. And we're never really given a proper insight to what's going on in the prison. Journalist and blogger Manuel Delia is actually taking this battle to the courts to get journalist access. I think it's actually quite a good thing, and we should really support him because we need to know what's going on.
100%. I mean, and on this case specifically of John Attard, he's a bit of an infamous case. He was an accomplice in the murder of a female warden. and the murderer was never found. So it's a bit of a shady aspect to it. If I'm not mistaken, the Times of Malta had a great report where they spoke to the brother of the victim. Okay. And he said he's going to continue the search, he's going to continue to fight to try and find out who murdered his sister.
Okay, now just to maybe move on to something else. There's basically yesterday, I don't know if you saw, but PN leader Adrian Dalia, who's somehow still hanging on, actually came out with quite a good initiative yesterday. He's proposed giving free PrEP out to people who need it. For those of you who don't know, PrEP is sort of like, think of it like the pill, but for HIV. So you sort of take it before and it will sort of prevent you from getting the fatal disease. It sort of formed part of this, unique push, for a pre-conservative party who actually didn't vote in favor of introducing civil marriage way back when, to now advocating free PrEP. In other countries, it's actually worked quite well. It's even eradicated, practically, not completely, but practically eradicated HIV in some of these countries.
That's exactly it. We've got countries like France and other really modern first world countries that actually provide PrEP for free to their citizens. This is not done in Malta. And there's a bit of a story with PrEP. Back in 2017, the government included PrEP in their manifesto. And since then, they've been saying they're going to roll it out, they're going to implement it, but we have seen nothing yet. So now that Adrian Dalia's picking up the mantle, we might see a renewed push in the fight for PrEP in Malta.
And for those who also didn't see it, Dalia was also talking about the Vitals deal in general, the controversial hospital deal, and he sort of was rolling out a list of initiatives that could be rolled out by the government if we actually got the money from the Vitals deal. If you think €35 a month, €35 check is good, Dalia actually said you could get €2,400. So let's see, maybe we'll hold it to him. I could use, a nice holiday, I think, this year.
So that brings us to the end of today's episode of Lovin Daily. Tune in tomorrow where you'll be joined by our hosts John Malia and Paula Kauki for a very, very exciting episode. That's enough from us today.
Bye.
Have a day full of lovin'.